Small town. Damn, that's you strictly. Small town. Damn, that's you strictly.
Ladies and gentlemen, as it turns out, the Panthers put it all on black against Vegas this weekend. The Mets have a 2-game lead against the Braves with a 3-game series in Atlanta coming up this week, and we are back to give you the real in sports. As always, I'm your co-host, Small Town EP, live from Atlanta, joined by your host, Wade Julian, live from New York City, and we are back to give you the real in sports. This is your number one sports talk show on the All Things Sports Network, brought to you by Small Town Productions. June, how you doing? It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, bro. It's been a little bit. I know for those who don't know, EP has been under the weather, dealing with some stomach issues. Thankfully, he's doing good. So we got this show back on the road. I'm actually in Broward County right now.
You're
So shout
right.
out to being home. Not in New York. I do miss New York City. Every time I come back home, I miss it back there, and I don't know what I miss more. But we here. We're gonna get this done regardless. We had a good week of football, more so in college than in the NFL. There's some weird wacky games yesterday, but hey, man, we're here to bring it to them, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of headlines, a lot of things been going on since the last time we saw you guys. I want to start with the Thursday night game, right? The Jets go from beating the Mayo Man to beating Mayo Man in New
Yeah,
England. They go from beating
yeah.
Tennessee to beating New England. Is there any value now to what Aaron Rodgers was saying about if you jump off the Jets train, don't come back?
I mean, not necessarily. By the way, good joke with the Mayo because Gerard Mayo. For those, I know it went over some of y'all heads, but stay with us now. Nah, I think you can use this Jets game as like okay, look, I mean, this team does look serious. This team does
Mm-hmm.
look like they can be, standing at the top come February. However, we're not going to use this game as a benchmark or as any type of like, you know, confidence booster, right? This was the 1-1 Patriots who struggled in their week 2, loss, and that week 1 win was pretty questionable, and they took away a touchdown from Mike Gesicki over there in Cincinnati. So they got the win, but I mean, I knew all along the Jets were going to come out and win this game pretty handedly. Shout out to Less Risk More Profit. I'm one of y'all biggest fans. Shout out to my boys EP and Gio doing their thing. But I'm gonna keep it a stack, man. You guys, the model had the Jets taking the L, Patriots money line, and G tried to talk me into that, and I said, listen, I don't sports bet, but look, we could do a side bet and did a bet. That's why I wanted to really talk about Thursday night football, because the game wasn't even a game, if we're being honest. I mean, it was 24-3. What are we talking about? Aaron Rodgers, did his thing against a divisional opponent. Great. Antoine, he said, we could do a deal that you got to pay me by Christmas. We got to pay each other by Christmas. I said, all right, you know what? We're here. It sounds like a fun bet. What's the bet? Money line? Let's do it. I had Patriots. He had Jets. Give me $100. Right. So I'll get a nice Christmas gift. Hopefully, it's something Colts related or Heat related or something like that, to where I can enjoy some football games with my gifts. So shout out to Ant for giving me that free money right there.
Love that, love that. Yeah, I mean, it's early in the season where this is Aaron Rodgers coming off an Achilles injury, pretty much a repair, if I'm not mistaken. It's week 3. We gotta see what the rest of the season does hold. I want to kick it over to the chat. Brill in there telling me, you know what we're here for. Listen, I'm not gonna go into my Bengals spiel right now. It's a week removed. But you know what it is. We like I said, we're on to Atlanta and we won, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Jay in there saying your jerseys live, June. Ray Cam in there. What up? Appreciate you all tapping in. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I want to take it over to Seattle by way of Miami. The Dolphins do drop one in Seattle, but I would be remiss. We weren't here last week, so I'd be remiss to mention any Dolphins loss without the health concerns for Tua. Tua being diagnosed with his 3rd concussion. I mean, he mentioned last year that he seriously thought about stepping away from the game of football in April of 2023. June, do you think that those same conversations are happening, especially with this 24-3 loss on the road in Seattle? You're on mute, bud.
My fault. Yeah, I
No,
say
you
yeah,
good.
bro. I think it's necessary, man. Like we're talking about somebody who's younger than us, right? Who's making more money than any of us, can probably imagine making in a lifetime, and he has opportunity to walk away from something he loves and is passionate about, but maintain the health he has right now. Not to say if he does come back, he's going to get another concussion. It's not promised, but at this point, it's more than likely. And so, I'm not sitting here saying that he is going to retire, um, but I do think the conversations are being had, and I do think that they're necessary. Right? You got to sit down with your mother, your father. You got to sit down with the mother of your children, your wife. Like hopefully that's the same person. And figure out what you want to do for your future, because at the end of the day, it is your life, right? We grow up saying it's my life. I want to do it, and um, I think once you become a parent, you kind of give up a little bit of that, and you have to be a little selfless, at least, and put your kids, as a priority. To set up his kids as far as financials go. I would hope that he would want to be there, when they're graduating high school and college and things like that. And this is stuff you have to seriously consider. But at the end of the day, if Tua Tagovailoa, as passionate as he is as a quarterback and as a football player, wants to play this game, until he can't health wise, or he just can't get up, uh, being physically incapable, I'm not gonna argue that. I know where passion can take you. I know the fire burning when you're doing something you love, and so having that taken away from you is heartbreaking, especially when it's not like this isn't a spinal injury where Tua's paralyzed and he can't make the decision for himself. Fortunately, it's not. However, the scary part of this injury is that it's something that you can you can come back from for now, and you can keep saying I'll get up again, and it won't really affect you until later in life. And so hopefully, Tua's having the right conversations with the right people, and I'm sure he is, and he comes up with whatever decision he does. But as it stands right now, Skylar Thompson is starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. 24-3 was not the same type of 24-3 in that Jets Patriots game. This was a much more depleted Dolphins looking team, a much more clueless looking offense without their starting quarterback, an offense who threw the ball 20 of 26 times in the first half, where Skylar Thompson had a total quarterback rating of 4.6 or so for the game. I mean, there wasn't a lot of heart. There wasn't a lot of pride, because I understand once your starting quarterback goes down, especially somebody like Tua in an offense as intricate and detail oriented as the Dolphins offense, it's tough to replace. However, you could just run the ball and not try to force the throw. But McDaniel's gonna have to figure something out, bro, because at this point they're gonna call him a Tua Tagovailoa merchant, and if he's not there, you can't win. It's not fair because again, without that type of quarterback in this type of offense, you're not really gonna get to go anywhere. However, that's where they're at right now, and Mike McDaniel can't just surrender the season. They're at 1-2 right now. You can't imagine the Dolphins going 1-15, or Owen blank until Tua comes back. So they have to figure out what's going to win them games. Defense played pretty good early on, and then it kind of just got away from them. And I think that there was, I wouldn't say a sense of quit in the team yesterday, but there wasn't like that sense of dog energy from the Dolphins yesterday that I was looking for to step up in the midst of a quarterback injury and one of the more intricate parts of your offense going down. So I don't know how you saw it, bro, but for me, it's like as long as two is out, the Dolphins are gonna have to really figure out how they're gonna scrap away with the win.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's looking bleak for them as they say at this point. Without Tua, I'm not gonna put the quit kind of cloud over them either. Like you said, June, but it did seem a little disheartening. Like they were a little down on themselves. They know too, their leader's gone. For right now, it looked a little what does Zion say? Lackadaisical. Hey, and shout out to I love to do it, man. I always shout out Brad County. I always shout out to Chris. Geno Smith, 26 for 34, 289 yards and a touchdown. DK Metcalf had a game as well, 4 receptions, over a little over 100 yards and a touchdown. I like to see Metcalf do good. I always like to see Geno Smith, Broward County native, do good. So I mean, we're here. I do want to, there's a lot of talk about Tua's guaranteed money and things like that. I want to take it away from Tua and just kind of, bring it up to 30,000 feet up. In a situation where a player still has guaranteed money on the line and is medically cleared to play, but chooses to retire, he does forfeit that guaranteed money. At that point, he would have to not be cleared to play and then retire, and then he's good. We did see Andrew Luck go through that. They could go for his signing bonus. We saw the Colts not go for Andrew Luck's signing. They let him keep the signing bonus, but he did forfeit that guaranteed money. That's the situation with guaranteed money as far as injuries and retirement and things like that are concerned. Ooh. The box score for the Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys looked very similar, but Dallas ended up scoring 19 points in the fourth quarter. The box score, the final score doesn't tell the whole story. It was 28-6 after the third quarter. A complete rout. I mean, we were going to talk about last week about some things that, Ravens need to address immediately. June, do you think that they've addressed everything that they've needed to address with this win? On mute.
Y'all gonna kill me today. I absolutely not was my answer. I do think the Ravens played well yesterday. Um, it was nice to see them kind of bring it all together collectively, offense and defense, run game, run heavy. I think they ran for over 250 yards, like 270 or so on the Cowboys. And that's just who the Cowboys are at this point. The Colts were in a position similar to the Cowboys where it was put up or shut up in the run defensive category. And we put up, you know what I'm saying? We got our dub. We didn't let the Bears, and this is not Bears indie talk, but just to compare what we're talking about, as a team, Chicago rushed for only 63 yards, right? And that was Khalil Herbert, Rashawn Johnson, and DeAndre Swift getting carries. 270 yards, in Dallas versus the Ravens. They were in Dallas, were they? They were in Dallas, right? Yeah. So I mean, to let a team come into your building and as a team run for 270 yards, in which Derrick Henry, 2 touchdowns, 151 yards, Lamar Jackson, 87 of those. I mean, there's just not a lot of pride. There's just not a lot of pride in Dallas right now. And so the issue is more of a Dallas thing because the Ravens came into this game not using Derrick Henry as we thought they would through, to start the season, right? We want to see Derrick Henry get 25 touches to 30 touches. That's when he's going to get it going because what you see, as we saw toward the end of the game, Derrick Henry is not going to, obviously when he's fresh and he's got his legs under him first quarter, it's going to be great. But the defense got theirs as well, and they're not going to be scared of the contact. Nobody's, scared of contact in the league per se. But when it's the third, fourth quarter and Derrick Henry has ran you over 3 times today, and here comes the fourth one. It sets a different tone in the huddle for the defense and the offense. The offense gains a little more confidence, and the defense kind of just gets a little tired of this big ass 6'4", 250-pound running back, who runs fast running downhill. And so we'll get to the business decisions conversation Antonio Pierce brought up. But there were also business decisions being made in Dallas last night because you let up Derrick Henry giving up, 151. That's just unacceptable as a team, and 274 is disgusting. So the Ravens, you asked me, did the Ravens kind of bring it all and put it all together? No. I think that thankfully, like I said, they ran the ball, got that taken care of, and they played great defense for the most part. But the fourth quarter and the Ravens don't mix. It's oil and water. And I think Coach Harbaugh has to do a good job of evaluation and where it's going wrong. You got 3 weeks now. You might, I don't know who they play next week. I think they have a tough game next week too. Yeah, they play the Bills next week. That's the Ravens do. And so on the road, Sunday night football. At home, Sunday night football. You're gonna have to figure out how to let Josh Allen stay out and keep him out. Because if you're gonna let every team just kind of stick around and find their way back in the fourth quarter, they've got 6 or 7 fourth quarter comebacks that they've let up, and so unacceptable football. However, thankfully there wasn't enough time on the clock for Dallas because it did look like they were going to come back. The Ravens have to figure that out on that end, but I'm glad to see that they did address the, we don't run the ball enough. So Cowboys got to really, really show up next week because they got on their schedule next week. Let me see. They got the 1-2 Giants, the 1-2 Cowboys versus the 1-2 Giants this Thursday night. To get the short week. Hey, if you're the Giants, this is what you want. You're at home versus division rival on Thursday night. It's a very awkward game. You just won versus the Browns, and you want to see if you can one on the Cowboys real quick, who's a struggling team right now. So the Cowboys are gonna have to, Dak Prescott's walking down that tunnel. Yeah, jump off the bandwagon like Aaron Rodgers was saying. Nah, listen, bro. Just fucking play. Just play because all this jump off the bandwagon. Listen, bro.
Bro, it was 14-3 and he was smiling on the bench. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, I hate that because the same can be said about the Dolphins. Last week they were laughing on the bench losing. This week, Skylar Thompson's cheesing on the bench with Jalen Waddle, getting their ass whooped. Ended up having to lead the game because he was hurt. It's a bad sign. And what's funny, like that's something so small, but I think coaches notice everything is noticed. And even when I used to play rec football, bro, like my coaches wouldn't even tell me stop laughing on the sideline. My mom would tell me after the game, she's like, you know why y'all lost? Because when you get on the sideline and it's not your turn to play, you sitting over there with your teammates joking. Y'all don't be focused on what's going on. Y'all sitting there joking. And I think that has a big I think it's a contributing factor to the energy that's going around, right? It's about a demeanor. And if you don't have an attitude to play football, you're gonna get beat up. And that's simple as that. So hey, hopefully the Cowboys can turn it around next week. But the Ravens as well have another tough game against the Bills at home. So
yeah, especially with Josh Allen. I saw a stat this week that said Josh Allen has been in the most one-score games in the last like 16 games or something like that.
And he wins them.
He wins them. Yep.
He wins them. And granted, not versus the Chiefs, but he wins them.
Yep, and like you said, the Ravens in the fourth quarter don't mix. Lamar Jackson tends to, I don't want to say disappear because that's rude, but it almost looks inept in the fourth quarter, like something happened and you can't let up 19 points. The win, the dub is the dub, as we say here on the All Things Sports Network, but that dub isn't pretty when you let up damn near 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. It's not a recipe for a winning game. I want to kick it back over to the chat real quick. Jay in there to reference the Miami game. He's saying Tyler Huntley needs to be caught up on the offense ASAP. Blood of the Panta popped in to hit the like button. Salute. Appreciate you. Cardi in there saying, what up? Top of the top with ATS. Your Cuzzo said he pulled up for the neighbors talk, and I guess you pulled up just in time. because ooh, it's all good in the neighborhood as it seems in the towns, as they say, June. Malik Neighbors, 8 receptions, 78 yards, 2 tutties. I mean, every other catch was a first down. Daniel Jones, 24 for 34, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns in a win on the road, 21-15 against Cleveland. How big of a morale boost should this win be for the Giants, June?
Huge. I mean, I just mentioned how they got they got the Dallas Cowboys coming into their home on Thursday night. They have an opportunity to go 2-2 and tie themselves for first place in that division, right? So right now, what is it? 9:23. Shout out to all the people who had birthdays this month, man. Shout out to the Virgos. I fuck with Virgos, man. Virgos is cool people. I posted a tweet the other day. It was like, Virgo's such a girl zodiac sign. I'm not gonna lie. So shout out to my dogs. All my dogs as Virgos, man. Shout out to y'all cool. But I feel like this one's for the bitches for real. But
Yeah,
anyway,
my middle sister's a Virgo for real. That's funny.
my middle sister's a Virgo as well. It's lit. It's September 4th. But listen, the Giants, as it stands in Virgo season, are in contention, right? And they have a chance to be number one in the NFC East. They have a chance to beat a division rival early who's struggling. And yesterday is an indication of what we can see from the Giants at times, and this is what makes things so confusing. Yes, it's the Browns and Deshaun Watson, and we don't know what we're gonna get from them week by week. Like that's just, you saw them get routed by the Cowboys in week 1, right? And then the Cowboys going to get routed by the Ravens to where they come back, but then the Giants go and they didn't rout them by any means. It was three touchdowns they scored. However, they won the game and they
Yeah.
dominated all game. They there was no point where I was like, there was a point where I was like, shit, they let them come in between 6 points, but I didn't feel like the Giants were going to lose yesterday. And Deshaun Watson, we'll have that conversation probably another week because we're going to let him keep doing this, and we're going to let him, figure things out.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say yet, so I'm going to let that play out. But Malik Neighbors, I mean, this is what you guys drafted, right? You guys went after a number 1 alpha wide receiver out of LSU, a guy who talks the talk, walks the walk, gets mad when he doesn't get the ball. That's the type of guy you want on your team. And he made up for losing you guys a game. He won this game for you guys. I mean, we read the stats. Did you say it? 2 touchdowns. How many yards was it? 8 receptions.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was 2 touchdowns. I just had it pulled up.
it's
Two
all
touchdowns,
good.
8 receptions, 78 yards, 9.8 yards per catch.
Like, he made up for that loss because you guys are 2-1. Like, and you're not. The Giants, and I don't know why I say you guys. You're not a Giants fan. But Giants fans out there are like, shout out to my cousin Luke. The Giants could be 2-1 right now, top of the division. Sounds crazy. They dropped the ball, literally, not a figurative. Malik Neighbors drops the first down that would have put him in field goal or had him in field goal range, and it would have kicked it versus the Commanders. And then, yesterday going and getting an AFC team out of their conference on the road with the defense that holds Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. I mean, very impressive. Daniel Jones over there, 24 of 34, 236, and two tutties. I'm going to give him the credit when it's due because this is a guy who I've seen do this before. I've seen him ball. I've seen him have a good game. I've seen him run the ball for 45 yards, 50 yards, throw the ball for 300, throw the ball for 250. Not no turnovers. But then you see the other side. So for now, let's give credit to Daniel Jones and the Giants because Daniel Jones has led this Giants team to 2 wins, and their rookie wide receiver dropped the ball that lost them the game in week 2, excuse me. And this week he made up for it. And I mean, I see flashes of I don't know, bro. Antonio Brown, Marvin Harrison, like super athlete. Obviously, he's his own guy, right? He's a new kind of prototype where he's not the tallest receiver, maybe 6'2", but he's just super athletic, right? And he's a nasty ball attacking receiver. And this isn't even nothing. I mean, 8 receptions, 78 yards, as good of a game as he had. It was more so, getting chunk yards, chunk plays, securing 2 tutties. But once he gets that, 13 receptions, 132-yard game, shout out to Jawan Jennings yesterday for Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy is the one we're going to talk about later. Yeah, man, Neighbors, this is just a sign of what's coming. So shout out to the Giants fans around there holding it down because If I'm a Giants fan at 1-2 right now, hey, I think this season could be a lot worse right now. And we got a chance again Thursday night, man. We don't know what Cowboys team is coming out on Thursday night, and they might blow the Giants out the water. I'm not gonna lie, it might be one of those Giants Cowboys games of the last 5 years, but it just might be something else too. And Dak Prescott coming into this season, becoming the highest paid NFL player. CeeDee Lamb right there behind him as far as wide receivers go, and getting all that money. Hey, bro, what we looking at here? We got CeeDee Lamb. Where's CeeDee Lamb stats at, man? Where's CeeDee Lamb? I ain't even gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna let CeeDee
Yeah,
Lamb do the talk on Thursday night. That's it.
yeah, because I want to make the CD Lamb kind of body language and gesturing on the sideline yesterday was very telling. We did get those reports, in the offseason with his family members, talking about Dak and the whole Dallas situation. He comes back, and it still looks like he,
What it
doesn't
is?
want to be there right now.
You know what it is? He's not 8.5. All right, I'm just kidding.
It still looks like he just doesn't want to be there. So yeah, we just go we gotta let the playing do the talking and the players do the talking at this point because ooh, it's going to be an interesting divisional battle. You said it's in New York or in Dallas?
It's in the MetLife.
Okay.
It's in the MetLife. Shout out to
It's
Blood of the Panther, by the way, popping in and hitting that like button. Shout out to he's a Knicks Twitter hater. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. Basketball season's coming, and you boys ain't safe, man. Y'all Knicks fan. Look, this is just a quick tidbit because Blood of the Panther, you just triggered me. I ain't gonna lie. Seeing your name, you just triggered me. I'm not supposed to see your name during football season. I'm supposed to see your name, and I'm only supposed to see your name when I'm watching Sean on fucking playback. All right, I don't want to see your fucking name. All right, Panther. Nah, man, that's my boy. Shout out to him. I can't wait till the Knicks play the Heat this year, man. You already know pizzas in the chat, pizzas in the chat. But it's all love, bro.
ooh, all right. Let's take it down to Tampa Bay, where the Big Show gets cooked by Denver. Shout out to Bo Nix getting his first win as an NFL player in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But June, how concerning is this loss with Tampa Bay awaiting their wild card rematch against the Eagles?
Yeah, I think it was just confusing, I'll say, because this Tampa Bay team has never been. We've never questioned Tampa Bay on like effort. We never questioned them on like what kind of team are we gonna get. We know what we're gonna get uh, from a Todd Bowles Tampa Bay team, right? You know that. You know what you're gonna get out of Baker Mayfield as far as competitiveness. There's not gonna be any quit. Um, the Broncos at 0-2 came into this game to me. It seemed like Bo Nix just wasn't ready to get that win yet, right? He hasn't played up to first round quarterback talent level where he can go and get your team a win. But he went and did that yesterday. Uh, they had two rushing touchdowns, um, and Bo Nix didn't throw for one, but he was able to lead them down the field, up and down the field, up and down the field. He only threw for 216 yards, but the way he was commanding drives and not turning the ball over, not making such sloppy decisions, I think when you do just enough good, it can go a long way. And that's what quarterbacks need to understand. I mean, we don't need Daniel Jones doesn't have to go win every game for the Giants, right? Bo Nix doesn't have to be that guy. And Caleb Williams is going to learn. That's not his job. Your job is to manage the game, to do what's asked for you on each play, and make sure everybody else is in the right position. I think Bo Nix did a really good job at that yesterday, so we got to give him credit. I hate to see a guy like Sean Payton win. I'm not a Sean Payton fan. It's just so. I mean, fuck him. He beat us in the Super Bowl, first of all, like, and then everything that came after that. But on a more serious level, yeah, I just think Denver's defense deserves a lot of credit as well because you go on the road and this is an offense you guys are playing with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin who are doing a lot this year. And they shut that shit down. They said we ain't going for none of that. We're not going 0-3. This was the week of we not going 0-3. That's what I saw this week. It was shout out to the Broncos. It was shout out to the Colts. It was shout out to the Panthers. It was shout out to Yeah. Shout out to those teams. Got their little dub, you know what I'm saying, before they went 0-3. I don't got too much more on that Browns and on that Buccaneers
Denver.
Denver game. My fault. Who gives a fuck really? You know, AFC versus NFC. It's a little early. Let me switch this up here because on a more serious note, what the fuck happened in Vegas last night or yesterday afternoon? What happened? No, seriously, because this is a Vegas team who went. I think it was like 2 or 3 games under 500 last year, starting off with head coach Josh McDaniel. They fire him, and then they finish the season at like 5-4, 5-3, something like that, under new coach and interim coach at the time, Antonio Pierce, who is now their full-time head coach, who started off this season 1-1 after a nice win last week in Baltimore. 36 points were let up in their own house to the Carolina Panthers.
I mean, they were down 27-7 after the third quarter.
Carolina Panthers, who came in 0-2, who benched the number 1 pick of last year's draft, Bryce Young, after a horrible start, another horrible start. They bring in the red. Is it the Red Rocket? Is it the Red Rifle? We were here at the house. Gio was saying Red Rocket. It felt a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know about that one,
Scott
man.
Hansen comes on the TV. He says, "Oh, they put the Red Rifle in the game." We're like, "Look, bro, we knew it was a little weird." But then we see on Twitter Bleacher Report saying Red Rocket. I don't fucking know his name. I call him Andy Dalton, all right, for safety measures. But he came in and threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns like it was in Cincinnati 2015. That's all
Facts.
I know. And I'm not going to sit here and say, yo, Bryce Young was the problem. Yo, bro, Andy Dalton is a veteran quarterback in this league who understands how to run an offense and read a defense. Like, at the minimum. That's what he does, back of his hand. It's going to be night and day different when you see the production on the field, which is arguably why they should have started him. Who was their backup last year? I'm not sure if he was the backup last year, but Bryce Young maybe shouldn't have started game 1, week 1 last year. You're going to start him this year because, yeah, I mean, first of all, new coach, offensive coordinator from the Buccaneers comes in. Yep. But I love the fact that Rex Ryan points out, and this is why I love Get Up is one of my favorite shows, and also Sunday NFL Countdown, because Rex Ryan, I mean, he has so much knowledge in what he's talking about. And he points out the fact that Dave Canales is hired in Carolina, to whom he thinks Rex Ryan is the worst hire in the offseason. Because, yes, he had a great offense in Tampa Bay, but he had the worst rushing game, right? Worst rushing game. And a new young quarterback needs a rushing game, a defense and a rushing game. And so for Bryce Young not to have the opportunity to get a good rushing game, not get a good defense because they trade Brian Burns, because they trade, their talent away, I'm not having this discussion as far as Andy Dalton coming in and, Bryce Young was the issue. Bryce Young needs a fresh start, and whenever he gets that, hopefully sooner than later, we'll notice how much of an organization can do for a quarterback. Malik Willis, Tennessee, going to Green Bay, right? Bryce Young needs a fresh start. But on the flip side, fuck the Carolina Panthers. They're not going to win more than 4 games this year. And I don't care if the Red Rocket, Rifle, fucking Sniper Gang, whatever you call them, they're not going to win more than 4 games this year. What's concerning here is 22 points to 36 points. Raiders lose this game at home. And after the game, Coach AP was asked, hey, I mean, what's
seems like your team didn't show up.
Yeah. And he said, yeah, definitely. Some guys made business decisions and will make business decisions going forward. And I think that's such a cold-ass comment. Me and Ant was talking about it here last night because, first of all, as I use this word a lot, and it's pride. Like, when you play football, bro, a lot of it is pride because you could be less talented than this team. You could be less talented than the man opposing you. But if you playing with your heart, bro, and you playing with your pride, bro, and you want to embarrass that man more than he want to embarrass you, there's a chance that you might just one up him a few times. And so when you come in to a home game versus the worst organization in the sport for the last 2 years, and you let that team put up almost a 40 burger on your head and beat you in a non-competitive way, if you're the head coach of that team and you letting that shit rock, you might as well get the fuck on too. If I'm Mark Davis, you might as well get the fuck on too. So Antonio Pierce might have saved his job by saying what he said as far as business decisions will be made this week. Because when Antonio Pierce and the team do a meeting and they're watching film and they're seeing guys let up on hits or not play through the whistle or not go 100%, that's your ass, bro. Because this isn't Green Bay, right? This isn't Kansas City where we all juiced up for this game, right? It's the worst fucking team. And we're playing down to the opponent. That's the worst thing you could do, especially when you let up a loss. Had they come back and win this game, Antonio Pierce was like, look, we was tripping. And that would have been the
Facts.
conversation. Nah. No. We got to do something about it. It's motherfuckers on this team who don't deserve to be on this team no more because we let the Panthers beat us. And that's how I got to look at it. So for me, I think it's a bold statement for him to say, and I think it's a bold thing for him to do, but I think it's the right thing for him to do. Because, again, it saves your ass when you look at, did you let this happen? No, absolutely not. No, coach ain't let this fly. We saw what happened. We nipped that shit in the butt. Watch how we do next week when the Raiders got to go and play. If my schedule wants to load right here, it don't. But the Raiders got to go and play the Broncos, the 1-2 Broncos, who looked like the Giants yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Got a chance to play a division game next week and be 2-2, top of the division. What's the word? Obviously, the Chiefs will be 3-0, so they won't be top of the division, but they'll be up top in that division. And so the Broncos are going to be playing with pride. And Raiders Broncos is always it's always a little scrappy game. But what happened yesterday was unacceptable on every level, and I hope
Absolutely.
that they make the right decision based on what they saw. That's all I got.
Mm. Yeah, that was a cold comment. I saw it this morning, and I was like, it almost like gave me goosebumps. I was like, oh, you know when your parents like they tell you that you're not mad with, they're just disappointed in you, and not even like I wish you were just mad. I know you'll get over being mad, but disappointment's probably gonna linger for a little longer. That's definitely what his post game press conference. And I mean, like I said, they had to score 15 points in the fourth quarter in order to not lose by 28 plus points. You know what I mean? And it is absolutely unacceptable to lose to, again, no offense, the team that just benched number one pick from last year, who's eating up salary on the bench at this point. But neither here nor there. He'll get his fresh start hopefully soon. Ooh, Sunday Night Football, man. It was here. It was in Atlanta. The Chiefs came to the Mercedes-Benz Dome, took care of business. It looked. I mean, I think at this point, every Chiefs game, you're gonna get maybe a one, maybe two blowout wins where they just kind of manhandle the other team. But every team is coming in to the Chiefs, facing the Chiefs, and leaving it all on the field, leaving their cards all on the table, and giving them their all. And that's exactly what Atlanta did last night. But June, how important was the Carson Steele and Samaje Perine combination to this Chiefs dub last night? You're on mute.
I had 3 times the charm. It's huge, bro. Pause. I mean, whenever one of your best players go out and your team is able to rally around that or figure it out or step up in there, it just shows how good you are as a team, right? And preparation. Andy Reid's gonna have his guys ready, bro, and that's never gonna be the question. They want to call Patrick Mahomes a check down merchant now because the scheme involves short passes to move the ball upfield and win games. I mean, hey,
I thought that was his
but
job. I don't know.
but just it's just one of those ways for me, Andy Reid able to figure out how to win a game when you got to. And not to say that this was a must win for the Chiefs, but it does them much, much better sitting at 3-0 right now than if they were to be sitting at 2-1. And so, like, I'm not trying to take away from the running backs. Like, obviously, they deserve all the credit. They did the job, and they were the ones who came in and stepped up. But it's just so interesting to see how the Chiefs, week after week, year after year, are able to just kind of figure things out on the fly when something goes wrong. And thankfully, 15 has been staying upright and healthy, and that's the main thing. But when guys around him go down, or suspended, or whatever the case is, it doesn't seem like there's a bump in the road for real. It feels like they just got a guy on the practice squad who they could just be like, yo, fucking come on. You saw us do this practice all week.
Facts.
You watch us all season. You know what to do. Come on. So it's a big credit to everybody in the organization for stepping up around guys like Pacheco when he goes down, because Pacheco is a big part of this offense. And the Chiefs have become a running the ball team and a defensive team. So they used to be throw the ball, all the time and not really play great defense and whatever. We figure it out, try to win the game at the end. No, the Chiefs defense is going to smack you in the face. They won on defense. Shout out to Nick Bolton getting through that gap, right?
Bruh.
Tackling a Bijan Robinson open field one-on-one, like Oklahoma style, right? And they run the ball. So yeah, it was a big thing for those two guys to step up. I mean, P. Ryan, he used to play with the Bengals a few years ago. He hasn't started in years, and Carson Steele, I hadn't heard of him. So
Boy went to Ball State.
Ball State, they got their blown out by Miami. That's all I know about Ball State. But yeah.
Hey, man, it's interesting. Like you were saying, that it just looks like it's a complete next man up, and people really understand. And I guess I don't want to say people, but those players that don't think they're gonna get any reps this season understand the opportunity that's at hand when they're playing in Kansas City, and what they're a part of, and how ready that they need to be. Because at any given moment, like you said, injuries tend to plague the Chiefs, and they just keep figuring it out on the fly. I mean, not scoring in the first and the fourth quarter is a little alarming. We've seen this trend kind of developing in the last couple of seasons where the Chiefs, they figure it out, but it doesn't look pretty. They're going scoreless for half the game. It's not necessarily a recipe for winning, but maybe it is a recipe for winning. I'm not 100% sure. Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, how you feeling about him through 3 weeks so far? You're on mute. Fourth time.
Jesus Christ. I think he's doing a great job, man. What Kirk Cousins does for that organization, one, is bring a sense of confidence. I do want to use the word swagger in a jokey way because, Kirk Cousins is one who he doesn't bring it, but he'll be with it, right? Like, for example, Justin Jefferson, we saw the chains last year and stuff like that. Kirk Cousins is not going to be the too serious guy that's like, come on, guys, focus. No, he's gonna entertain it because he knows that the young guys around him kind of bleed off this. They live off this, right? This is how they feed into their energy. Cool. So Kirk Cousins kind of stays young, tapping into that energy with the guys around him, but he also brings a sense of calm, comfortable, been here before type of attitude that gives such a young team the confidence to go and play Patrick Mahomes and go toe to toe. I mean, that team could have won last night. They had 2 fourth down opportunities that they failed, which they'll be better at, right? OC Arthur Smith and head coach Raheem Moore is going to have to look at and say, I mean, I don't think we should call a fucking outside zone with 2 running backs in the backfield on 4th down. I understand how Chris Jones is up here, but maybe we throw the ball then at that point. So whatever, they figure that out. But Kirk Cousins just has the swagger and the confidence. And we're seeing it because Atlanta, first of all, who is the Atlanta Falcons? Who were they? They weren't no contender. They aren't anybody that we expect to win games. But they get Kirk Cousins. They signed him for $100 million. They went out and signed Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates. Justin Simmons, by the way, has a fucking interception on Patrick Mahomes for like the last 3 years every time he plays.
Yeah, came over from Denver.
Yeah, and
not to cut you off, going back to that pride thing that you said, they mentioned that they sat down with Justin Simmons this week, and they were talking about, how do you just continue to, pick him off every time that you see him? And he said, he literally was saying, I think the quote was, Patrick Mahomes is going to give you one, eventually. You just got to be there to execute. And that right there is what you call playing with pride. I don't care don't care what his name is, what number he has. That boy is a human being, and I'm going to get the better of him at least one time in our face-to-face.
For sure. And just to kind of continue what I was saying to answer your question, a young team like that, they went out and signed a couple veterans, right? They went out and signed Darnell Mooney. They went out and signed the two defensive guys I just mentioned, and Kirk Cousins. So now you have a roster that you can win with all of a sudden. And the guys that you brought in are guys that are winners. I mean, they ain't win no Super Bowls, I understand, but they have experienced big time wins and big time moments, and they've played the game for a while now. So I just think it does a lot for Atlanta as far as Kirk Cousins being there in that quarterback locker room. And I think this is also great for Michael Penix. This is just learning moments because we see Bryce Young in a situation right now where, again, he's struggling, right? He might get the Josh Rosen, and we might never see the light of day of Bryce Young again. Hopefully that's not the case. But again, in the Malik Willis look, he goes to an organization that actually, knows what to do with their players and their quarterbacks, and he's having some of the best football he's ever played. So Michael Penix is sitting here. He said, fuck it, I'll wait 3 years before I fucking start playing. But by them 3 years, I'll have all the knowledge that I need from Arthur Smith. I have all the knowledge that I need from Raheem Morris, from Kirk Cousins, to do my thing and all that. So, hey, I love what Kirk Cousins has done for this team. And I think that through 3 weeks, the Falcons should be proud of where they are. Obviously, they'd like to have that win yesterday. I think, beating Kansas City at home Sunday Night Football would have been a huge, huge feat and a confidence boost going into next week. But, it don't always work like that. Sometimes the losses aren't losses but lessons, right? And so
Hey,
shout out to the Falcons.
Adam Schefter reported that a couple of Atlanta officials were saying that this was the biggest game in the last like 5 or 10 years that Atlanta has played apparently. So and they played like it. I will give them that. They definitely played.
Energy was there.
Energy was absolutely there.
And next week they got the Saints. So this is that going into next week. Got the divisional game. Who's going to be at the top of that NFC South? You know what I'm saying? Because they're all Buccaneers, Falcons, and Saints. Each got a loss. So Falcons got 2 of them. So Falcons are trying to tie them up 2-2 right now.
Hey, and I didn't know how deep the Saints and Atlanta rivalry that they hate each. I had no idea.
100%.
They hate each other. They were telling me that next to the Chiefs game, that is the most expensive game to go to.
Yeah, I want to go to Saints Falcons one day. Yeah, when I'm grown, I'm going to Saints Falcons one day.
I've heard. Hey, we've been blessed with 2 Monday Night Football games this evening, and there's
Hey, before we get to Monday night, hold on. I know we got to get to Monday night. We got to get to college football. I do want to point out a couple more things in this 1 o'clock. Shout out to the Colts. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Richardson getting that first dub of 2024. Right? It wasn't pretty. It was an ugly game, but the team found a way to win. Last week, Anthony Richardson made some good throws. He had 3 picks. It was ugly. But this week, he played worse. And he only had 1 interception. He played worse this week. The team found a way to rally around the quarterback and figure it out. Last week, the quarterback did some shit, and the team couldn't figure it out. So I do like to see the fact that the Colts came together as a team. Caleb Williams got his first 2 passing touchdowns of his career. Shout to Rome Dunze for getting one of those. And Cole Kmet getting the other. I respect it, but we were the victors. And yeah, man, I'm just super excited. Shout out to Jalen Jones getting them 2 interceptions on him. And then also from that week 3 window in the 1 o'clock games. Hey, man, when the Colts win and the Texans lose, it's a good Sunday, baby. It's a fucking Sunday, baby. And guess what? They're 2-1, and we're 1-2. And next week, we got the Steelers. And, bro, we on your ass. I'm listening. I see the comments. I waited. I'm being patient. I'm going to start hate week late this week because I want to take Victory Monday into consideration and celebrate the fact that we got our first win of the season. Thursday, when we record Thursday morning, same time, same place, it's hate week, and it's up for the Steelers. And I'm going to point out the fact why I think the Colts, not just because I'm a fan, but what I'm seeing in the 3 weeks of Colts football and what I'm seeing in 3 weeks of Justin Fields-led Steelers football, and I'm going to tell you why the Colts going to win. But back to Minnesota looking like some real motherfucking gangsters versus that 2-1 Houston team. I mean, 34-7. It was never close. They never had a chance. They were never in it. C.J. Stroud never looked comfortable. He never look. I never seen him look like this.
Yeah.
Honestly. So whatever the fuck Brian Flores is doing, or those two are talking about lower comments about him, put right here. It got the Minnesota boys going on defense right now. Got them going. 7 points for one of the more dynamic offenses in the league, an offense that we've seen dismantle teams across the league.
Yeah, I put Houston on a ticket yesterday, along with the Eagles money line, and obviously Eagles took care of business, but Houston didn't. And like the third quarter came around, and I was reminded that Brock Purdy told Flores last week, "Yo, your schemes, your everything that you're doing on defense is fucking nuts." And I was like, "Damn, I should have remembered that because that very, very, very telling when NFC defending NFC champion is coming up to you personally and being like, "Yo, whatever you just did, bro, it worked." Because I was all sorts of out of the loop in the moment.
Yep. Hey, real quick, I want to go to the chat. Shout out to DY3. I feel like I know, but shout out to you, bro. He said, AP, we got to go back to that Chiefs Falcons real quick. I don't know why I forgot about it. I was a little amped up. But that fucking PI missed call, that was crazy. That was crazy. Y'all won because we had a conversation when y'all beat the Bengals, and it's a fuck calls, and it's true. PI is PI, but you got to call it both sides. You got to, and that was a PI. Kyle Pitts had a touchdown taken away from him, and guess what? The ball should have been on the 1 yard line with first and goal and time on the clock. Unfortunately, I mean, hey, I don't give too much of a fuck because at the end of the day, I think we're gonna see the Chiefs standing longer than the Falcons. And but you do like to see the NFL get stuff like this right. You don't like to see, especially when last week was the same situation and you just won the game like that for them, right? Let's call it how we see it. Let's call it both the same way. NFL's got to get better here in this regard. So it is a little stain on the refs this week. However, nothing crazy. Shout out to Nate showing love in the chat. All them boys, man. Bro said, "Say the fuck less." Like I said, I'll tell you Thursday. What else you got, bro?
We got two Monday Night Football games this evening, which each of them features an 0-2 team. The Jaguars 0-2 on their way to Highmark Stadium to play the Bills, who are 2-0. The Commanders are 1-1. Yeah, the Commanders are 1-1, and they are headed over to Cincinnati, Paycor Stadium, to play the 0-2 Bengals. June, which one of these 0-2 teams have a better chance to win tonight?
I think the the Bengals have a better chance to win at Paycor, brother. I mean, first of all, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels. I like the matchup. I think that the Bengals played a really, really good football game last week, and we're not able to talk about them. Shout out to EP, by the way. He taking care of some business right now. My boy Canelo. Shout out to Canelo, the most cutest pup there is around town. I was just telling him how cute Canelo as a pup is. But yeah, I was saying, Joe Burrow and the Bengals played really good last week in Kansas City. And they did enough to win the game. They just did too much on that last play. Unfortunately, the refs ain't going to miss that call versus KC. They're not going to miss that versus KC. They'll miss it if it's KC, but they're not going to miss it versus KC. So the refs, it was on point. They was on point, called that shit. And the Bengals shot themselves in the foot for the second time on some last penalty, kick a field goal to win. Chiefs-Bengals rivalry bullshit. But, yeah, I don't think the Commanders are at that level of explosiveness yet to compete with the Bengals. We'll see. I think their defense is really good, but we'll see. However, you asked me who has a better chance to win a game, and I do think it's the Bengals. Not just because the Commanders aren't capable of beating them, but I've watched football 25 years, sorry. But, the Bills are 2-0, and Josh Allen is playing MVP-like football. And Josh Allen, to me, today is going to play even more MVP-like football. Trevor Lawrence has struggled this season. They haven't been able to get it going. Brian Thomas Jr. has been a nice addition over there. They do got Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk. Like, the Jaguars have the pieces they need. They just haven't been able to put it all together. Hopefully they do soon enough. But 3-0 Bills looking like they're gonna go into Jackson. Is that Trevor Bank Stadium they're playing at this week? Or are they in Highmark?
They're in Highmark.
Even worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got the Bills winning. I got the Bengals winning.
Ooh, both home teams with the dub this evening. Bengals favored by 7. June, you like them for the whole touchdown?
I don't. Seven's tricky. I wouldn't touch that. I wouldn't touch 7.
And Buffalo, even a little bit of a trickier line at -5.5. Very interesting for a 2-0 team versus a 0-2 team.
That is a tricky line. I do think they can cover. 5.5. But this is one of those games like Gio was telling me as far as why they picked Patriots money line. Like, fuck it, you might as well go Jags money line instead of like Buffalo to cover 5.5. Fuck that. If you think they're gonna cover just 5.5, take the fucking money line and Jags and roll with, you know what I'm saying? Take that risk.
After that stat came out that Josh Allen has been in more one-score games than any other quarterback. Yo, Vegas is funny, bro. Vegas is very funny.
That is true.
I want to switch it over to baseball because we are like six games away from the season. Hey man, in the NL, the Mets and the Diamondbacks are tied, 87 wins, 69 losses, and the Braves are right there, 2 games out of the wild card, going into a 3-game series versus the Mets division rivals. San Diego on top of the NL wild card as of right now. And I mean, in the AL, I mean, Baltimore is obviously up there. Kansas City and Detroit. And Detroit, I feel like, is such a what's the term? They just came out of nowhere this season, really, after having some abysmal seasons the last couple of years. And they are in the wild card with a 1-game lead above Minnesota. Seattle right below Minnesota, 2 games out of the wild card. Tampa Bay and Boston, both 4 games out of the wild card. June, what are you expecting out of this last week of regular season baseball? Mute.
Fuck, man. Even when I joked, I came out and said, man, you know, the Colts got the Steelers next weekend, man. Look, man. We got
so at this point, real quick, the Mets are still in there. Are they going to the playoffs, June?
I think the Mets are going to the playoffs, bro. I got to stop with the bullshit. It looks like they're going to make the playoffs. And I wish Kev was here. Kev would have more of a haterade ass response. And
hey, if they blow this 3-game series to Atlanta, they're out. So that's some Met shit to do right there.
So hey, and okay, so backtrack. They got Atlanta. In Atlanta?
Dog, I believe so. I'm gonna verify that for you in 1 second, but I do believe so.
Hey man, I'm not even gonna call it. My prediction is I'm gonna roll with what I was saying. The Mets are gonna find a way to blow.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what?
in Atlanta.
That's what I said 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. The Mets will figure it out on how not to make the playoffs. And if it's determined by losing a series in Atlanta, do they have to win 2 out of 3?
Yeah, probably. They do. They got to win 2 out of 3.
Well, it's the playoffs now, so they might as well start winning. I'm gonna just, for shits and giggles, and you know, who cares about the Mets? Mets will find a way to blow this one. But they have had a really good season this year. They are playing different than they have, you know, in years past, and I wouldn't be surprised if they make the playoffs. But we would be even less surprised if they missed it and blew it. But I want to say, fucking Red Sox, bro. You know, it just seems like it's not for us right now. Like, it just ain't. We there, but we ain't there. Like, and we kind of reverted back to like the fucking August Red Sox, right? Like, or the fucking July Red Sox. Like, I don't know, man. And so Alex Cora got ejected in the first inning. It's football season, bro. I'm being mad. I'm salty right now because it's just like, yo, we had a chance to put ourselves in a great position to make the playoffs, and now we find ourselves like, I don't know. I think we won yesterday in a doubleheader versus the Twins, so I don't know if we're like 3 games out or 4 games out of the wild card now, but we were 5 yesterday. So, which is still a lot of time. You know, we do play the Rays. We got the Twins tonight again, right? or are we
No,
in Tampa?
you guys are in Toronto.
Toronto. We got the Blue Jays today, and then we go to Tampa. Or I don't know if we're
Hmm.
home for Tampa
No, home
or if
for
they're
Tampa. At Toronto,
okay.
home for Tampa.
Yeah, and so for these to be the last 6 games of the year, knowing that Minnesota has to do bad, knowing that the Blue Jays, we got to beat the Rays. I'm sorry, and hopefully Bobby Witt slows down, which ain't happening. I don't know anymore, man. I'm gonna wait for the end of the season, and then I'll pick my World Series favorite from the National League. It'll be the Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani. Hopefully you fucking know that. And by the way, let me say this: Thursday, bro, I got to Broward. I flew into Fort Lauderdale on Thursday. Ohtani's at 49. He's at 48 and 49
Yeah.
stolen bases. And I text Kev, bro. I said, bro, the game's at 4. I land at 3-0. Pick me up. We out to the game. We could watch possibly the 50-50. He's like, yo, I wish I could, bro. I got to shoot. Da, 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 da. I'm like, nah, I get you. He texted me when I got off the plane, and he sent me like he had a flat tire. He had fucked up his tire on the highway. He's like, yo, this shit would have been bad. I'm like, damn. Then I get to the crib, and it's like 6 o'clock. Shohei's got fucking 2 homers, 2 stolen bases. I'm like, yo, what's
Like
going on? He
8
went 6
ribbies.
for 6, 10 RBIs, bro. I missed a game of the year. 20-3, yo, they won. So I was a little salty about it. I wanted to be there. I knew it was gonna happen. But shout out to Shohei. I think that this is the best place he's ever performed. I mean, we've seen him do it over the World Baseball Classic, and going for 6 for 6, 10 RBIs, 3 home runs. I mean, this is fucking Shohei Ohtani Stadium down in Miami. He needs to come to the Marlins and just rake
Bruh.
baseballs for a living.
Facts. Every time the Dodgers go to Miami, it's a game. I've been to the Sandy, Alcantara matchups back in the day. Back in the day sounds crazy, like 2 years ago. Every time the Dodgers come to South Florida, it's Dodgers fans travel well and they live abroad well as well. So I mean, it's always a spectacle when the Dodgers travel to South Florida. Oh, a lot of things happened this weekend in college football. I mean, just in the top 25, Texas A&M let Bowling Green hang around. Northern Illinois let Buffalo beat them. I mean, Clemson put up 59, damn near 60 points on NC State. You were mentioning Miami, June. Any standouts this week in college football for you? Anything you want to bring up?
Shout out to the Hurricanes. Shout out to me for unmuting myself. Shout out to the Hurricanes getting that dub, man, versus USF. Best team in Florida, ranked number 7 in the country. Cam Ward, Heisman Trophy nominee. 3 straight games, now 4 straight games with over 300 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Should have came out of this game without any interceptions. Jacoby George, you gotta hold on to that one, my boy. Come on, Jacoby. But it's all good. We still got the dub. On to ACC play now, right? Friday night at
Virginia
home,
Tech.
Virginia Tech. Let's go. The homies is going to meet up. We're going to be at the game. We'll send you pictures, bro. We're going to be lit. We're going to be lit Friday night. Try to get out work early. Try to get the tailgate by 4. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to get there for game time. Call a lot of work. Leave early. Pink eye. What you got to do. Now, in all seriousness, though, we're seeing a team that's built to win and a team that's built to play all 4 quarters. This ain't a team that's going to front run. This ain't a team that's going to quit. This ain't a team that's going to get tired. Listen, we are going to whoop your ass all game. Dogs, 5 stars, 4 stars. You know what I'm saying? And so Mario Cristobal finally got all his guys in there. The coaches he needs, the players he needs. I mean, we got young boys doing it. We got the upperclassmen doing it, and so it's just going around now. And we struggled through that first half, and it was a little ugly to watch. There was some bullshit going on, but man, we done put up 40 burger on their head. So shout out to the Hurricanes, man. Another game I wanted to point out was how the fuck did Michigan beat USC and they threw for 40 yards? I mean, that's straight out of a Madden franchise. They started, Michigan started Alex Orji, their true freshman quarterback out of Nigeria. And I mean, I said 40. He had 7 completions for 32 yards, averaging 2.7 a throw, 26.7 QBR. But Caleb Mullins, boy, I tell you what, in my Steve Harvey impersonation voice. Bitch, 160 rushing yards, 2 tutties. Donovan Edwards, 74 of them, 1 tutty. And that number 20, Kalen Mullins had that big breakaway run late in the game that put them in position to win because they could have, tried to run the ball all the way downfield and nah, they had a big breakaway and they wanted it more. I thought USC was going to win this game, so it was a little disappointing to me, but you got to give it to Michigan for finding a way to win there. As you mentioned, Texas A&M, I think Connor Weigman, he's suspect, man. We thought he was going to be better, and they let Bowling Green put up 20 on them. Tennessee, Oklahoma. Shout out to Nico. Nico throwing dots.
Facts.
Dante Thornton Jr. going for 66-yard touchdowns. Oklahoma and Jackson Arnold couldn't find a way to get it done. And I think this game was in Norman, Oklahoma. Yeah, this game was on the road. Nico went 13 to 21 for 194 yards and a touchdown. Jackson Arnold had 132 yards, 11 of 18, and a touchdown. But Oklahoma, man, they ran the ball for 33 yards, and they let Tennessee come in this bitch. Brew McCoy, 92 yards. Dante Thornton, 73 yards. As a team, 194 rushing yards. Again, you're not going to win if you can't stop the run. And the Colts realized that after 2 weeks, they said, fuck it, Chicago ain't going to do it to us. And they won. But you see Tennessee here putting up 194 rushing yards, you're going to win.
Facts.
So, shout out to them. Shout out to Tennessee's defense for holding Oklahoma to only 15 points, 3 points for the most part. I said Miami put up 40. Miami put up 50 on their head, and that's why we are the number 17 in the country. Vanderbilt and Missouri went down to the wire, overtime win, and that's why Missouri right now gave us that number 7 ranking because of that close game right there. We wouldn't have played Vanderbilt in such a close game right there. And Missouri's got Texas A&M next. So it's going to be interesting to see. A really good team, LB3, Luther Burden Jr., Luther Burden in the third over there at Missouri is a playmaker. They 4-0, winning the games they're supposed to, but they went down to 11 just based on, beating an unranked team by 3 in overtime. Where, the number 18 Miami goes to fucking USF on the road and smokes them 50 or whatever the case was. So now we're going to see Missouri versus Texas A&M next week at 12 o'clock in Texas A&M at Kyle Field. Missouri should win this game, and they should win this game at least by 2 scores, in my opinion. If Texas A&M comes out and shows us something else, hey, shout out to them. And Missouri's gonna be hurt. And it's not gonna hurt their college football playoff or anything. They're still undefeated. They only have 1 loss at that point, but they've got Alabama 2 weeks. In 3 weeks from today, it will be in 2 weeks from Saturday. And then followed by Oklahoma. This is a game right here, Texas A&M. You gotta win, and you gotta convince the country that you are a top 10 team. You can remain there and beat teams with conviction. So that's what I got for college football. This week we'll get more into it Thursday as far as like looking into week 5 of things. We got some good games coming up. Louisville, Notre Dame, and stuff. We'll talk about Illinois, Penn State, Georgia, Alabama. So.
And it's funny. Shout out, as you mentioned, Tennessee. Shout out to Allie Campbell, catcher weekly or every day, daily, 6:30 to 8:30, WKGN, Fox Sports Knox. Right before the NC State game, she said, "I don't expect this to be an easy win. I just expect it to be a solid win." And ever since that, they've been making everything look easy. So I don't know what's going on over there.
I did say, it was Nico's coming out party last week. He had a game on ESPN. Who did they play
Kent
last
State.
week? Tennessee. Tennessee played Kent State last week.
Yeah, and then before that they played NC State.
Oh, so it was the NC State game, yeah, because that was the night game. So they played NC State at night, and they smoked them 51. You know what I'm saying? 51 smoked them, and now they play Oklahoma on ABC in Oklahoma, and they get to do two possession win. Nico's coming out party. He's here, and he might start putting himself in that Heisman candidacy. So shout out to Nico, shout out to Tennessee, shout out to Allie, shout out to ATS, shout out to EP, man. We here.
Yeah, we here. Hey, in other news, Man City was down in the extra time yesterday to Arsenal.
Hey, why he threw that ball at his head like
that? And Jay Stones scores in the 98th minute to tie the game 2-2. What a winner! What a thriller! We did have some Champions League play, early group stage play that we'll talk about Champions League probably next week. We'll get into knockout rounds in a couple weeks and things like that. You mentioned Justin Fields because you're gonna have to see him this week. 3-0, Pittsburgh at the helm. Are you liking what you're seeing from Justin Fields? Is this his revenge tour, June? You're still on mute.
It could be looked at as a revenge tour thing. I just think Justin Fields is getting what he deserves, man. He's been a good quarterback throughout his career. He's helped his team win games, right? He's been a young quarterback, as he is, but he's also ran the ball like no other quarterback we've ever seen. He's also done things on football field that we're like, there's no way he shouldn't be on the field all the time. And so right now, he has a team and an organization and a coach that believes in him and that respects him wholeheartedly. Chicago had to believe because it's like, bitch, we drafted you at 9. Like, we fucking hope you're going to be Justin Fields. Pittsburgh traded a 3rd-round pick for him. Like, You know what? You're fucking good. Let's show us. Well, Chicago ain't want you. Come here. We see it. And I know that's giving Justin Fields the confidence. I know he's going in there not thinking too much on what to do. We're seeing that's one of the biggest differences I seen. And I'm not gonna get too into detail because I got some shit for Brill next week. You know what I'm saying? But what I am noticing, and I'm gonna give credit to the Steelers before it becomes hate week, and Justin Fields, he doesn't look so rushed. He doesn't look so antsy and anxious. He looks like there's a sense of calm. He looks like Arthur Smith is maybe his OC. He looks like Mike Tomlin might be the head coach of that team over there. You know, and they're giving him the freedom to make mistakes, but also learn through and grow through the good things as well. So shout out to Justin Fields, man. I think Pittsburgh is set up well around him. We know that defense is fucking crazy, which I didn't realize, they drafted TJ Watt at 30. I didn't know he fell 2017 to pick 30, which is crazy. But, that defense is built to last. And they've got some talent over there on offense. So Justin Fields, as good as he plays, the Steelers can go. And I don't think the Steelers are they're going to contend for the playoffs for sure. They always will. I don't think they're going to be a serious team in the playoffs. Their defense could, but I can't trust Justin Fields, winning them a game in the playoffs right now. It's too early for that. So, but they're on their way. They're on their way to that. And they're in a very tough division. And they're at the top of it. So that's what we can say about the Steelers for right now.
I can't wait till the NFL script goes crazy next season and they got Pittsburgh versus Chicago. It's going to be a hell of a game. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, as we cross this hour 12 mark, this has been your Monday morning All Things Sports Talk Show on the All Things Sports Network, your #1 sports talk show brought to you by Small Town Productions. If you tapped in on the live, thank you so much. You could have been anywhere in the world on this beautiful morning, but you were here with us. If you're tuning in after the fact, thank you for taking time out of your day. We'll see you all Thursday morning.